Hello, everybody. It is John Pollock and Wai Ting back already, live here. Another week to begin, and we have lots to discuss. WrestleMania fallout. How are you doing, Wai? Hours after we last spoke.
I'm doing well, John. I'm still, I think, running off of the fumes of the week, ready for the entire next year. It starts
Yes.
right now.
Yeah, the build for WrestleMania 39 commences now. And we're coming out of the weekend. There's obviously a lot to discuss coming out of WrestleMania week and all the different shows and performers attached to that. But coming out of Saturday night, there was one person I really wanted to chat with on this Monday afternoon. Just days after Kevin Owens headlined WrestleMania with Steve Austin in the final match of night number one, a man that has literally been covering his career from the start 20 years ago, and he was there at AT&T Stadium. It is a pleasure to welcome a friend of the show, Pat Laprade of TVA Sports and l'Antipode de la Lutte. Pat Laprade is with us, joining us, I believe, still in Dallas. Correct, Pat?
Still in Dallas because I'm going to be at Raw tonight. And very well said, les antipodes de la lutte, John. Your French is really improving.
I'm trying. I am trying. I am getting there. But first of all, let's just go back to Saturday night. And you've had a couple, 2 days to kind of decompress from this at this point. But not just Kevin, but also Sami on Sunday. Tell me just a little bit about, you obviously have a very close relationship with these two specific performers. What was it like for you just to be watching both of them, who were, to me, highlights of each individual night?
It was incredible, an incredible feeling. I mean, so proud of what these two have accomplished over the years. You got to remember that at one time, I mean, no one was giving any of them a chance to make it to WWE one day. Didn't have the physique for, they didn't look what WWE was looking for. I mean, and to see them now, 7, 8 years after they've been hired by WWE and doing so well at a big show like WrestleMania. We thought last year was, we hit something, with both of them working. Another, one of the best feuds in recent wrestling memories. And to see both of them, having a fight at WrestleMania, we thought we have seen it all. And now, Kevin main eventing with Stone Cold. And not only eventing, but also the quality of performance that he gave us is something that we're never able to. And I'm glad to see comments on, social media can be. I believe it's almost unanimous that everyone was raving about the performance that Kevin gave, and not only fans but also his peers, workers from all over the world, not only WWE, praising the performance that Kevin did. It's just an amazing feeling, and something that really was hard for me to process on Saturday night.
Yeah, and I thought you really conveyed it well in the blog you posted on TVA Sports that I would definitely recommend people to go check out. For those that maybe did not read it or know the backstory, can you take us back to when you first met Kevin Steen and your first impression seeing him going all the way back to the infancy of his career?
Yeah, I heard about Kevin since 2003, but I first met him in 2004. And I mean, the first few times I saw him, I knew he was a special talent. Everything that he was doing was effortless. I had never seen someone so, doing this with at ease. It was like second nature for him. And then we started becoming friends, and we traveled the United States. I mean, I can name you all the tweet, but Montreal the very same day just for a booking in Ring of Honor, or Montreal, New York the same day. We travel on the East Coast. Him, me, Sami Zayn as well, and it's just so nice to finally see him in a big stage like WrestleMania, and getting all the credit that he truly deserves. I saw Kevin at, he was willing to quit. I will remember this, like February 2007, we're going to a Ring of Honor show in Philly. It's really the comeback of Kevin Steen and El Generico since 2005. Their first one. They're working the Briscoes that night. And on our way there, Kevin told me, if this doesn't work, if this time doesn't work, I may try to do something else with my life. And not only it did work, but it was really the stepping stone for him and Sami to become full time with Ring of Honor. And that match with the Briscoes, I'll always remember Kevin telling me that when both of them got to the backstage area, Gabe King, the show at the time, just told them and look at them and said, "Home run, guys, home run." And from there, both of their careers were just keep improving. More opportunities came, and lo and behold, 7-8 years later, they were signed with WWE. So it's been a hell of a ride. It's been something that, like you said, I follow since. I was in the same venue when Sami second match, not his first, but his second. He was working under the name of Stevie McFly. He had bowling shoes. He didn't have wrestling boots. He had bowling shoes. At a time where in Montreal, there were like some old school wrestlers who didn't understand could wrestle in bowling shoes. And a year later, I was in the venue at the Level Scratch when he made his debut at El Generico. So to me, it goes back so many years. And I've seen them, go through all the good things, all the things, all kind of a roller coaster of emotions, and to see both of them carrying their match like they did over the weekend with Austin and with Johnny Knoxville, it's a feeling that is really, really strong, and like I said, they're generational talent. I don't think we'll ever see two guys in Quebec coming at the same time, going to the same place, and following their career like the both of them did, like Kevin and Sami. I made a hockey reference saying that they're like Ovechkin and Crosby, who both came up to the league at the same time, both became legends in their own right, and I know Kevin and are getting there as well.
Pat, before we continue, the Wi-Fi in Dallas might not be the best at the moment, so we're going to ask if you can hit stop cam just on your StreamYard, just as a way to possibly save our bandwidth. You can still hear us?
Of course. My voice is
perfect.
much better anyway, so that's fine.
You look great as well, of course, but we just want things to be as clear as possible.
Someone once told me, Pat, that your good looks could sell a lot of books.
Well, yeah, that person might have been Bertrand Hébert, I'm guessing, but yeah, I mean, I get around.
Did you have a chance, Pat, to speak to either of them before, or at some point this weekend before their matches?
I actually went 3 times, and in total, I saw him for only 10 minutes. He had one of the busiest schedules he ever had on a Mania weekend. He actually didn't think it would be like this because they didn't have any access, really like the access that WWE used to have. So he thought it would be a little easier. But then on Tuesday or Wednesday, all the interviews started dropping on his schedule app, for WWE, and he was just going from one place to another interview to another, this another, and they did a fine job, I think, because when he went to the Superstore access and started throwing Steve Austin's merchandise around and doing with the red painting on a big wall where there were a big publicity for Austin. They filmed that, they show it online, they show it during the pre-show of Mania. I just think that was like so very well done. They really wanted for Kevin to be the ultimate heel in this match. Not that Stone Cold wasn't over enough, but just so that people really were not going to cheer Kevin at all, and they did a tremendous job at doing so. So I saw him at a few things, but like I said, just 2-3 minutes. At the time, he was in a very, very good mood. It was a busy schedule, but you could see that, to him, it was, he was meant for that weekend, that he did, throughout his career, that all the bumps, all the miles he did, all the he took, all the hustle he had to do and to take over a 20-year career, that, it was all coming down to the end. That was, what he was dreaming of his whole life. And he was and he was in a good mood afterwards as well. I mean, he really the match. Everybody seemed to have enjoyed the match. Austin, McMahon as well. So yeah, I mean, we couldn't ask for that.
Going back earlier into his career, like such a huge part of Kevin Owens are his promos, and I think sometimes doesn't get enough appreciation for the fact that English is not even his first language. And for you, was it something very early on that he just always had that gift, or was it an evolving process? And if so, when did he kind of turn the corner when it came to his speaking ability?
I always thought that he was better in English than in French, actually. His first promos in French weren't that good. They were okay, but not I wouldn't say good. And it's fun. It's going back to Steve Austin's advice that Kevin, and he told the story many times, but that when he met him in an airport in 2005 and told him to never stop running his mouth. Well, Kevin really took that seriously, and he never stopped. And that's one of the things that I really saw a difference at one point about Kevin, during the first run in Ring of Honor, and when he came back in 2007, he was a different. There's two things that explains that: the advice that Austin gave him, and the fact that he went to Japan. He didn't come back the same in the ring. Kevin doesn't even acknowledge that. To him, it was only Austin. But still, to this day, I will say his time in Japan helped him too when he came back. There was something different about him. He was even more himself when he was there. He was, and the thing with Kevin is that he's in the ring, he's wrestling, but it's like he picks up everything that's going on around him. Every single comment that is made by people, crowd, especially on an indie show where it's a lot smaller, a lot closer to the action. But I've seen him do that in WWE as well. I don't know how he does that, but he's wrestling, he's thinking about what he's going to do, and he's still what people say, and he will respond to them. Connection, something that is, never stop running his mouth. Well, he didn't even stop when he was wrestling. He was talking to the crowd. He was responding to something. He even did it in an interview at Superstore Access, where a fan asked a question. I didn't even hear the question, but not only Kevin did hear it, he answered to it. And I think that is he's great at acknowledging what's going on around him, the reaction of the crowd, the reaction of his partners or opponents. And I mean, if there's a definition of what a pro wrestler should be, I think Kevin checks a lot of boxes.
You mentioned having, seen him afterwards. Can you describe maybe, the vibe that you got from him? You mentioned, of course, that he was very happy, but did you get the sense that he was able to enjoy the moment of being in there?
We only spoke through text messages afterwards, though, so I didn't see him. He seemed moved by the overwhelming reaction that everybody was giving him. But I couldn't say more than that,
No, having been around him, I guess, in front of a lot of high pressure situations, like what is he typically like before, a big moment in his career, you think?
He's very calm. He's always calm. That is something that amazes me every time, is that he doesn't seem nervous. He probably is sometimes, but he doesn't let it show at all. He always seems to be in control of every situation he's given, and yeah. So when I saw him the 2-3 times before before Saturday, he very calm and very like if he was just it was just another day at work. Probably it was different the day of the show or just prior to the to coming up to the ring, but he can control his nervousness very, very well. He always looks calm and didn't really feel different to me at all.
Do you feel, Pat, at this point that Kevin and Sami, by extension, are seen as like the value that they have in Canada? Like, we just saw that they went through Laval. They did a really good house here in Toronto. I don't know if you're aware of this, but in March in Canada, Raw's viewership was up 40% over February, and
Wow.
it's not like that was the same on SmackDown. So you can't just say WrestleMania build, and that March coincided with this Owens build with Austin, and I think there's definitely something to that. I think like it's sometimes because it's not the U.S. that people sometimes maybe don't recognize like the impact that a Canadian star can have in this market.
Oh yeah, I cannot speak for every market, obviously, but in Montreal, a lot more media than usual wanted to talk about wrestling over the weekend, over the past few days, and all the big radio stations, newspapers, TV station, everybody was talking about Kevin Owens from Friday, even this morning, like the biggest morning radio show was talking about. It was like part of the sports news. So this happened, that happened, and you know what, Kevin Owens wrestled Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania. So it's been really crazy to see the amount of media that his match with Austin had, and yeah, I mean, I've been contacted here and there, for a lot of those interviews, and it's important, because wrestling, and that, guys, wrestling doesn't always get the mention they deserve, because sometimes just people are being picky because wrestling is not really a sport, but the entertainment people kind of look at wrestling with kind of snubbing pro wrestling because that's not hard. So we're kind of between a rock and our place, and to see all of those media finally being on the same page and talking about the performance that someone from Montreal was able, because I mean, main eventing WrestleMania for a non-wrestling fan, it's the equivalent of having a first role in a big Hollywood production. It's as important, and I don't know how it is in Toronto, but we do too many people from Montreal being having a first role in the big Hollywood productions. So to see Kevin being able to hit that, it's really, really something that is cool for him, cool for pro wrestling, and cool for the province of Quebec and the rest of Canada, because of the ratings and everything that you just said. I know Kevin is especially over in Toronto, always was. It goes back to the Ring of Honor days. But can't wait to have him back in Montreal, because he haven't been in Montreal since April of 2019. So because of COVID and everything, he was supposed to be there in December of 2021, but the show got postponed to March 2022. And it was SmackDown who came instead of Raw. And Sami is over as well. But Kevin, because of the way he was booked in WWE years, maybe has a little edge on Sami, because of the Universal Champions, definitely. So and because it was booked in main events and stuff like that, Sami was booked the right way. But now he is, and he really enjoys it. He truly enjoys what he does right now, because to him, wrestling is entertainment, and he gets a kick out of having a 5-star match or doing a match with Johnny Knoxville.
Like watching his run, over the past, I would say, year plus, going from being, I would say, largely a manager for people like Shinsuke Nakamura, to now main, in a, I would say not a main event, but certainly I would say a match that people are coming out of night two with, I think, generally overwhelmingly positive an experience for. It really is a testament to, I think, the philosophy of being able to take what you're given and doing the most out of it. What do you see as sort of like the source of Sami Zayn's ability to just he's able to make anything work?
Well, like I said, for Sami, pro wrestling isn't just moves and what you do inside the squared circle. It's a total package that includes as well being able to entertain people and to do anything to entertain them. I mean, Sami has done improv shows in Montreal, and he was telling my colleague at TVA Sports, Kevin Raphael, that he might even enjoy doing some acting at one point or another. So that's an aspect of what he does that really fulfills him, and not only the wrestling part. Because I mean, we all know the worker. We all know that you put Cody Rhodes, you put him against Seth Rollins, he's gonna have a 4-star plus match. There's no doubt about that. But what he shows, what he's showing right now with the old Johnny Knoxville storyline, is that he is versatile, that he can do more than just matches. He can cut promos, he can act, he can be an all-around performer. And I do think Vince McMahon and his crew are realizing that more and more. And it's all going to be to Sami's advantage, because the more stuff you can do, the more you're going to be used, and you're going to be used well too. And that's something I think Sami understands very well. And he really, I mean, I spoke to him for an interview like maybe 6 weeks ago, and he was telling me that he really, that's a part of his job that he likes a lot. So people who will tell you, well, I don't think Sami is booked well and he should have left to AEW, he would have been booked better there. Well, he would have not wrestled in front of 65,000 people in AEW. No disrespect to AEW, of course, but he would have not been on the red carpet of a big movie in Hollywood. There's stuff that I'm sorry. There's stuff that comes with WWE that you can only find in WWE, and Sami is fine with that, and he enjoys it. So you can, as a fan, you can either say, well, I don't like it, and I'll move on, or you can just be, well, you know what? If he's fine with that and he likes it, well, I'm fine with that too, because at the end of the day, it's what's important, and WrestleMania especially, and you know that, guys. It's always been about sports and entertainment. If there's a show that's always been built around entertainment, that's WrestleMania, and the Knoxville match was another proof.
Before we let you go, Pat, I just wanted to as well, like it was a very big weekend for Quebec. Just in addition to Kevin and Sami, I think for most people, consensus performer of the weekend would be Speedball Mike Bailey, who was back in a WrestleMania week setting. He had 9 matches. Did you get to see any of Speedball's matches over the course of your time down there in Dallas?
Oh yeah. I've been watching wrestling since I'm here on Thursday, so I've seen a few of his matches. He's just incredible. He's a true machine. 9 matches in 3 days.
Incredible. Yeah.
And all matches at the same level. He didn't save himself for a certain opponent or a certain show. He went all in all the time. I've seen him come in, and that's what I like about pro wrestling. Is the creativity of those performers. So Bailey comes into a show because he was coming, I think, from Impact, and he was working the Joey Janela Spring Break. He comes in 20 minutes before his match, not because he was late, because just of the time of the shows. And he was supposed to wrestle PCO. Unfortunately, PCO got injured. He's fine now, so he's good to go. But PCO is not doing the show, so he's working a new guy, Jordan Oliver. and that he never worked with before. So they planned the match. So he comes in 20 minutes before his match, not before the show starts, before his match.
Wow.
Planned 5 minutes and gave one of the best matches. So I mean, I'm always by that, but more than the match itself, it's the behind the scene of that. And Bailey is a special talent. And I remember back in 2018 in New Orleans, PCO had that match with Walter. That was all over. That people was it was the talk of the town, and that led him to be signed with Ring of Honor and does the PWG battle, the Bola, and everything else. It was a special weekend for him, and I think that this weekend it will have the same impact on Mike Bailey, because he said it. He was probably the MVP, everything non-WWE over the weekend. But we also had PCO who was in town and did a few matches, and also Lufisto,
Right.
who was invented the biggest women's show of the weekend, Mission Pro Wrestling, Thunder Rosa's promotion here in Texas, main eventing against Holly Dead, their champion over there. And they had the best match on the show, and Holly Dead put her over with the whole roster there. Because even with 25 year of experience and being over 40, she still delivers, and she's still able to perform at a level that very few people are able to. And she's another one that we're really proud of in the province of Quebec.
Pat, I want to thank you so much for taking some time. I thought you were the perfect person to have on the Monday coming out of WrestleMania weekend. And for our listeners and viewers out there, where can they follow more of your coverage of all of the events that were going on in Dallas, as well as the podcast with Kevin?
Yeah, well, if you follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, it's Pat Laprade, and I have on TVA Sports.ca. It's in French, but you can easily Google Translate them. It's only give you a good idea of what I'm saying. And the podcast with Kevin is also in French, which is maybe a little harder to Google Translate. But anyway, if you follow me on social media, I do stuff in English as well. So Pat Laprade, and hit me up.
Awesome. Thanks. It's always great to catch up with you, Pat. Safe travels home, and hope we can chat soon.
Thanks, guys. Always a pleasure.
All right. Pat
Thank you
Laprade,
so much,
everybody.
Pat.
Down in Dallas, where he has one more night to go with Raw at the American Airlines Center. So, yeah, there was we watched a ton this weekend, Way, and there's still more you could go and catch up on. And I think for anyone that kind of missed out on the non-WWE stuff this week, you could certainly just navigate like the speedball journey throughout those couple of days, and that's I don't think you can go wrong. I did not see the Jordan Oliver match. You did, and just what you were describing and knowing the circumstances with that being such a last-minute change and what they put together, it's like I was a fan of Mike Bailey, and then that weekend they did SummerSlam here. I thought he was the performer of that weekend, and he had the hardship of having to wrestle outside of the U.S. for 5 years. He has had such a great return. It's a great story, and this weekend just felt like a real affirmation of this return to the U.S. scene for him. And it's he was my performer of the weekend, of the matches of his that I saw.
If you look at WrestleMania week as a whole, I don't know how you'd be able to really select anybody else. I mean, granted, I have not seen all these matches, but just to know that the schedule that the man decided to embark on, and at least seeing a good slice of the chunk of quality that he was able to provide, even at, what was this, 2 a.m. in the morning for a show like Spring Break Part 2, and the match that he had with Jordan Oliver on short notice. For people who didn't see this match, spoiler alert, okay, if you intend on watching it, maybe zoom, fast forward ahead 30 seconds, but they did a RKO counter out of a shooting star press that hit as perfectly as we saw from Evan Bourne and Randy Orton all those years ago. And he did this, now knowing from Pat, with 5 minutes of prep. I don't know if they would have been able to practice this in the back, or if it was just like, hey, let's just do it out there in the ring. They pulled it off perfectly. So it's a testament to Jordan Oliver, of course, but a testament to the confidence and the ability of a guy like Speedball Mike Bailey, including on Bloodsport, pulling off a very different style of match. And I'm sure plenty of other, like winning the $5,000 best match of the night award in the Mark Hitchcock Memorial with Bandito. It is absolutely incredible.
Did you have a match of the weekend as you go back?
Well, certainly, that match was a candidate, Bandito versus Speedball. But you can look, I think, every single day, and there's a real list of high quality matches that people can point to as their favorites that I would not disagree with. On Bloodsport, Biff Busick versus John Moxley, I thought absolutely was fantastic.
I think that was mine. I think that was mine. Like Biff Busick had a really great weekend too. That match for me was a really, really incredible match. I thought Cody and Seth was phenomenal. Like really, really like a classic WrestleMania match that they ended up having. And it also had like the pomp and circumstance that is going to make it a very well remembered match because of the nature of the comeback and everything attached to it. FTR and the Briscoes, I think, is a lot of people's pick for match of the weekend. Bandito and Speedball was, the early front runner.
Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch. That was my personal match of either of the WrestleManias. And for me, I think it was also a combination of just the story that they managed to build from from SummerSlam onwards. It was just such a feeling of just release, to ultimately see Bianca Belair get that championship on the biggest stage. Second time of the year that she's managed to steal the show with an opponent at WrestleMania and ended up being the talk of at least WrestleMania. So a great collection of matches, and we're probably not even talking about, you haven't even mentioned the clusterfuck yet, John.
I haven't even I've not seen the clusterfuck in its entirety yet, but I heard great things about the Mission Pro show that Pat talked about. Thunder Rosa and Trish Adora, I heard, had an excellent match on that show. Gringo Loco's World on Lucha sounded like that was a can't miss show. So there was so much. Like you had the Impact show on top of it, where Speedball and Alex Shelley tore the house down. It was, there was some incredible wrestling from Thursday onward, and it was a lot to process and kind of condensed into, it wasn't like expanded beyond it was pretty much 3 days, because there wasn't a whole lot going on Sunday beyond WrestleMania and maybe like some local independents.
I want to maybe shed some light here. Brandon Thurston, who always, of course, has like the best data. The most recent edition of WrestleNomics is out right now on our main feed as well as the WrestleNomics feed. He compiled using CageMatch.net match results of all the participants in Dallas who had the most, and we know that it's Speedball Mike Bailey, of course, with 9 matches. But let's give some love to some of these other people that are listed there. Janai Kai with 7 matches of her own. Blake Christian right beneath her with 6, and then just a lot of people with 5 and 4 match weeks, including Shazza McKenzie, Davey Richards, Gringo Loco, Minoru Suzuki at his age, continuing to come over here and just work his ass off, delivering just quality, I would say, every single time that he's out there. It really is quite incredible, the amount of talent that I think deserves recognition.
I also, in my head, I am putting together my list of best photos of the weekend way, and my candidates, number 3 would be Brutus Creed's cannonball to the floor during that tag match.
From NXT,
from Stand and Deliver.
Okay,
this was not a cannonball like a flip dive. This was like a cannonball like Macaulay Culkin going into the pool in Home Alone. Then we had Stephanie McMahon with Brett Lauderdale.
Yes.
That was a great photo. But number 1, which if you were watching the video, nearly broke me during the Pat interview, of Sami Zayn running into the giant hand. I will never not see that photo and not find it to be the most hilarious thing in the world. That giant hand, I love that spot. I thought it was so... How can you not laugh at that? This was amazing. And you didn't see the hand coming. It was the surprise attack. Like they set this thing up and no one saw it other than those that would have been ringside. But as a viewer at home, it literally hit you out of nowhere like it did Sammy. I mean, come on. Like this was exactly what this match needed to be and exceeded my expectations.
It's a highlight I hope they put into the opening signature of WWE programming from this point on. Before we sign off, WWE did put out a press release, so I'm just going to read from the press release.
WWE announced that WrestleMania 38 became the WWE's highest grossing and most attended event in company history. WWE's annual pop culture extravaganza saw 156,352 fans from all 50 states and 53 countries converge on AT&T Stadium in Dallas over the course of 2 exciting nights, surpassing the previous gate and attendance records set by WrestleMania 32 in 2016. That is very misleading. So 2 nights beat 1 night. I mean, it's a press release. It's a WWE press release, but I think for the sake of they also, worth noting though, they did not include a gate figure, which they usually always do in these press releases. They always put the worked attendance number, but they always put a legit gate figure. And I think the 2016 Mania was 17.3 million, if I'm not mistaken, for the 1 night event. So I mean, obviously, these numbers we will get a better sense of. WrestleTix, the combined tickets distributed from both nights were 131,372. So paid was obviously under that, but you know they exceeded 100,000 paid, which I think is a tremendous figure outright. So I'm sure in time we will. I'm sure the Arlington police are going to be contacted about turnstile counts.
We will find out eventually, but you know, it's the game is promotion, is it not? You know, it's to make the show sound good. I mean, the real basis of a comparison, at least I think, might be last year's show. Maybe even as a single event, we look at SummerSlam and how it did compare to that. But
it's really hard to compare like a 2-night thing, because even last year it was still limited capacity, so you didn't have complete 100% capacity like they did for this year, and also looking ahead to next year, what the demand will be at SoFi Stadium. So GCW has already announced the collective for next year that'll be spread out over 3 nights at the Ukrainian Cultural Center, which is their home in the Los Angeles area. So you have that for a year away. And tonight, Raw is at the American Airlines Center, and all we know so far, Veer will arrive and Cody Rhodes set to speak. Which do you start the show off with Cody, or is that something later in the show? I guess, like, to me, that's the big thing on the show. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of angle shot and surprises, but I think just looking at the YouTube numbers, Cody was far and away the biggest thing, even ahead of like the Austin stuff with Owens. It's like almost 2.5 million views since Saturday night. So it seemed like Cody was the biggest thing coming out of the weekend.
It's a really great question. Yeah, I mean, I certainly think, of the non-Stone Cold Steve Austin stuff, the Cody stuff, even for a mainstream fan, might be the most interesting thing, perhaps. So you can't start that, or you start with Bianca Belair celebrating her championship victory. I don't believe you'll get Stone Cold Steve Austin on the show. I don't think you'll get Vince McMahon on the show. But besides those 2 things, perhaps you start off with Cody then.
All right. Any super chats, Way, before we sign off?
Yes, we do. We have a couple of them, and we go first of all to our man Neil Flanagan.
Our man Neil.
Thank you so much, Neil, for the 20-pound super chat. He just wants to say a giant thank you to the entire Post Wrestling crew for an incredible team effort over the past week. I'm still catching up with the video, audio, and written content, all of which is top notch. No one is better.
Well, thank you, Neil. All the best to our man Neil Flanagan, who I don't think he made it out to the Grapple Post Wrestling podcast Res is not dead festival, but Brit Res, sorry.
Podcasting is not
guys,
dead.
I am completely fried by this point on a Monday afternoon, so it's like this is tap out time for me.
Hey, shout out to the entire crew of people that are contributed to us all weekend, of course, including John Pine, including John Cena, including Bruce Lord, Karen Peterson, Andrew Thompson, Braden and Davey. This is one of the biggest weekends I think they've had, like splitting across an ocean to host concurrent live events. That is incredible. The British Wrestling Experience crew. Shout out to the Grapple crew, of course, as well.
It sounded like it was a great turnout at Sneaky D's on Sunday night, from what I heard from Braden. So that's great.
Damian Abraham, being out there, and
it was like our unofficial draft. It's like post UK.
We're taking over the entire globe. John.
That's it.
And apologies if I'm missing anybody, but it has been a long weekend. And of course, you too, John. So thank you all for that. All right, one more super chat here from Jared Taylor with a $10 super chat. Thank you so much, Jared. He says, the post coverage of this weekend was excellent. Job well done to all involved. I hope you get some downtime to recharge in the next few weeks.
Well, I can tell you this. We are going to be back tonight where we are going to be going to Raw, the night after Raw festivities. And as I kill time here, I just want to confirm something because tomorrow on the Post Daily News Show, Wai and I will be off.
Yep.
And
goodbye.
I am going to say that we are tentatively going to have... Give me one sec. I want to confirm this actually because
he needs to make sure that this is happening because it potentially is very big. So you don't even have to announce it now, John. Just well, maybe we could just even leave it.
Okay. No, I'm getting the dots. So tomorrow, this is going to be breaking news because Wai and I are literally okay. Okay. So TBA. Okay. It's
okay.
Yeah. It looks like it's TBA. Okay. So. Tune in tonight. We will let you know. Wai and I need a day off on Tuesday. Okay, so it is. We are going to be off tomorrow. Okay,
we're not quite Tony Khan here with our announcements, but
not exactly. But anyway, tonight we're live, 11:05 p.m. Eastern time here on the Post YouTube channel, and then off Tuesday might be something in place of the Post Daily News Show. If not, you can go a day without us, and we're back to our normal schedule on Wednesday at 1.
Perfect.
That is all we can say right now. We will chat with you all tonight. Thanks to everybody that checked out even a minute of our coverage over the last couple of days. Thank you so much to Sino, to Pine, to all of the Post contributors. It would not have been possible without all of them. It's in reality, folks, it's a very small number that help this site run, and they do the work of like 5 times the people. So I cannot thank them all enough. And you for just checking us out. There are so many options in the wrestling media landscape. For you to just sample us and take a couple of minutes to check out, it means a ton to us. So if any of you sent out a comment, even if you thought it in your head, sending us a mental thank you, we received it. So that is all. I have to go type, and at some point, I'm going to have a nap before Raw. That's my plan, folks. And thank you to the great Wai Ting. Never take for granted, okay? When I don't give him any topics ahead of time, I bring up Speedball Mike Bailey, and boom, it's on the screen before it's even out of my mouth. The man is so quick. A true talent.
We do share a hive mind at times, I think.
That is it. All right, everybody. That is it. We'll chat with you tonight, 11:05 Eastern. Subscribe to the channel. Goodbye.